We now recognize the chairman of the Committee on Dangerous Drugs, the Honorable Barbers, is recognized.
Salamat, Mr. Chairman. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Wala na hong paligoy-ligoy ito, Mr. Chair. At babalikan ko lang yung napag-usapan na rin sa Senado tungkol dun sa issue sa BIR. May mga katanungan lang ako doon kung sinong pwedeng sumagot nito. To whom it may concern, no? Does Philhealth withhold tax before the payment is credited to the private hospitals?
We'll ask our SVP for fund management po.
Sige. Kala ko ikaw ulit sasagot eh.
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, nagwi-withhold po tayo ng tax sa ating private facilities, Your Honor.
Okay. Bigyan nyo nga kami ng idea. Magkano o ilang porsyento ang inyong wini-withhold?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, ang wini-withhold po natin ay 2% expanded withholding tax po, Your Honor.
Okay, so you are withholding 2% withholding tax, no? Dito sa na-release nyong pondo ng IRM, kung di ako nagkakamali, 14 billion, di ba? Tama?
Yes po, Your Honor.
Can you give me an accurate amount as to how much is the 2% nung 14 billion na na-release nyo? You should have withheld 2% dyan sa IRM, di ba?
Yes po, Your Honor, for the private facilities po.
No, okay, para hindi na doon na lang sa buong IRM na na-release nyo, sabi mo 14 billion. So, kumpitin mo yung 2% nun. So, that's how much? 2.8? Mr. Chairman, wag niyo isama yung oras na yun. No?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, if we will multiply 2% to the 14.9 billion, Your Honor, that's 298 million, Your Honor.
Okay, so 298 billion was supposed to have been withheld by the Philhealth when they released IRM to the private facilities. Tama pa? Tama?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, our withholding is only for the private facilities, Your Honor.
Okay, so private facilities, more or less, magkano yun?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, the total is 7.8 billion, Your Honor, for the
And
private.
Roughly 8 billion, and 2% of that is,
That's 156.7 million, Your Honor.
magkano?
156 million, Your Honor.
Okay, so itong 156 million na ito, kailan ba kayo nag-umpisa mag-withhold ng 2% sa inyong mga releases sa private facilities?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, nag-release po tayo ng IRM ng March 23, Your Honor.
So since March 23, ang ibig mong sabihin, nag-withhold na kayo ng 2%?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, ang neto po ang pinag-guide po natin na pera sa ating mga facilities because yung ating IRM po ay computed net of tax, Your Honor.
Hindi, no. Ang tanong ko lang, dun sa nirelease nyo, dun sa private facilities, simple lang naman, di ba? Winidhold nyo kamo yung 2%. Sabi mo nga, 156 million yun eh, di ba?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, yung amount kanina po na sinasabi po natin, 156 po, ang that's 2% of the 7.8 billion, Your Honor. So, on the
Exactly.
private facilities po.
That is my question. Sabi mo, ang sagot mo sa akin, 156 million is the amount that you have supposed to have withheld, no, from the 7.8 billion na nirelease mo sa private facility. Di ba?
Yes po,
Wala
Your
na
Honor.
yung mga net mo eh. Kaya hindi tayo, ako, mahina ako sa math, Mr. Lim Siaco. Ang tanong ko lang napakasimple eh. Doon sa amount na yung 156 million na winidheld nyo, eh, hindi naman ho ito pumasok sa National Treasury. Ang ibig sabihin, hindi nyo ho winidhold. Di ba?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, nag-remit ho tayo sa Philhealth ng 156 million,
Okay.
Your Honor, ng August.
Saan nyo kinuha yung pera nung winidhold nyo, yung niremit nyo? Saan nyo kinuha?
Sa Philhealth din po na pondo po natin.
Oh, yun na nga eh. That's another, Mr. Chairman, this is another case of malversation. Parang niluto tayo sa sarili nating mantika eh. Unang-una, nirelease nila yung pondo sa private facilities. Dapat nag-withhold na agad sila ng 2% doon. At ito, ang 2% na to, amounting to 156 million, eh dapat pumasok na sa ating National Treasury. Pero hindi nila ginawa yon. So anong ginawa nila to rectify the situation? Philhealth, no, using their funds, their own corporate funds, paid and remitted 156 million. Parang double jeopardy yun, Mr. Chair. So, classic example of another malversation. I have here a copy of a memorandum signed by General Morales, Corporate Memorandum 2020-0052. No, na nagsasabi dito, the management in consideration of the tax consultant's advice. Sino yung tax consultant? Na hinihingian nyo ng advice?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, that's Attorney Christina Corawel, Mr. Chair.
Di bale, okay na yun. At basta attorney, no? Kasi after the fact nga yung ating usapan na nangyayari dito eh. Nakalagay din dito sa itong memorandum na ito, a 2% expanded withholding tax shall be withheld upon release of the IRM fund and not during liquidation. Because prior to this memo, ang inyong policy ay during liquidation. Nag-release na kayo ng pera, hinintay nyo mag-liquidate bago nyo kukuha na ng withholding tax. Which is totally wrong, Mr. Chair. So, I will not anymore belabor this because obviously, meron talagang kalokohan dito lang. I don't know kung saan napunta yung perang yon. Bakit kailangan bayaran ulit ng Philhealth, maglabas ng sariling pera galing sa Philhealth para lang to settle yung at makapag-remit ng withholding tax sa ating national government o sa National Treasury. Nakalagay din dito sa itong the same memo na may sinasabi dito, for those PROs who previously set aside withholding tax or have remitted tax for the liquidations made by HCIs, please reverse the entries made upon deduction of said taxes in your next remittance. So, parang if you will try to analyze this memo, this is an attempt to cover up yung kapalpakan na ginawa nila dun sa usapin ng BIR or withholding tax. So, let's move to another topic dahil limitado yung aking oras. But Mr. Lim Siaco, you're supposed to be the one na pinakikinggan dito. Kung nag-hire pa kayo ng tax consultant eh. Anyway, moving on to another topic, Mr. Chair. Ito, I was just, it caught my attention because while reading some documents that I received, may nangyari palang insidente noong 2010 sa Accenture Philippines. I think this was already mentioned by Congressman Barsaga in the last hearing. Pero gusto ko lang pong makakuha kasi ng information tungkol dito dahil parang hindi ho malinaw sa akin. yung Philhealth Senior Manager for Treasury, Evangeline Racelis, discovered an anomaly in 2010 wherein Accenture Philippines has remitted more than 100 million pesos in PhilHealth contribution of its employees. Pero, nakarecord ho sa libro ng PhilHealth na na-receive nila yung payment from Accenture, but in reality, the money did not go into the depository bank of PhilHealth but was found to have been deposited o na-deposit ho ito doon sa Batangas. I think it is a private account, no? If I'm not mistaken. So, during that time, nagkaroon ho during this time, ang IT Informatics Division Head was Attorney Jojo Del Rosario, hindi pa siya SVP Legal during this time. And I think he was asked by the former President, Mr. Banzon, no, to conduct an investigation. Nandyan ba si Attorney Del Rosario? Mr. Chair?
Is Attorney Del Rosario here? Noong huli po kasi nagkaroon siya ng there was a certification from our infirmary, nursing station that he was sick. Is he here with you today or nasa Zoom? Hindi niyo po kasama?
Nasa Zoom? Wala.
Nasa Zoom ba si Wala, Honorable Barbers.
Kasi sa Senate, nandun siya, present siya eh. And he is material here, Mr. Chair. I will continue with my story. Kasi nga, during that time...
Before that, Honorable Barbers, before that, was President Morales also in the Senate? Wala. Attorney Del Rosario was there. But he was there the last time. Sino pa ho yung... More or less naman, si Mr. De Jesus, Arnel. Talagang
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I think that this is not the first time that Attorney Del Rosario has disobeyed the invitation of the House. So I believe that we have to either cite him in contempt or give him one more chance, whatever the pleasure of the body would be. But he cannot take this committee lightly, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Honorable Remulla. In fact, we are very tolerant. Hindi naman po natin pinipilit na dito. Even when General Morales requested na kung pwede siya sa Zoom, we allowed it. So if you will allow, Honorable Remulla, maybe warning to the Honorable Del Rosario and let it not reach a point that we will move for a contempt.
Mr. Chairman, if we can still get him on Zoom now, because I don't see any reason why he cannot appear on Zoom before this committee, unless he is trying to evade us with impunity, Mr. Chairman.
May we request the officers of PhilHealth to kindly contact Attorney Del Rosario. Do we have anyone from legal here on the floor? Nung last time nakasama po natin, so no one from legal, kahit na representation ng legal department, wala? Kindly contact Attorney Del Rosario, anyone from legal, within an hour, lest a contempt motion will be issued by this committee. Honorable Remulla?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it bears mentioning, Mr. Chairman, that many of the problems that we are now tackling and the investigation being conducted is because the legal department of PhilHealth was not able or did not do its job in investigating these anomalies early on as part of their job in PhilHealth. And now they are trying to evade this committee, which gives me reason to suspect that they may have been involved in the anomalies of PhilHealth itself if they are trying to evade answering questions from this committee.
Tama po yun, Honorable Remulla, kasi ang usapan nga ngayong hapon, yung mga ospital ang ating ipapatawag. In fact, we have several representatives from the different hospitals who are here na medyo legal po to. Question ng mga kaso, pending cases, arbitration, and so on and so forth. Pero let's give it an hour. Pag wala po within 1 hour, then I will entertain a motion to declare in contempt not only Attorney Del Rosario but the whole legal team of PhilHealth. Thank you. Honorable Barbers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I absolutely agree with Congressman Rimulya in this statement. Kasi lahat po itong nangyayaring ito could have been prevented if only the legal department and the legal SVP for legal has given his legal opinion on these issues. Eh mukhang walang opinion eh. Anyway, moving on with the Accenture. So na-discover po yung pera, 100 million na pumasok sa isang bank account doon sa Batangas. No? I believe the Accenture headquarters is somewhere in NCR. It is just surprising na the money was discovered to have been deposited in a bank in Batangas. Metro Bank po ito. So now, during that time, it was Attorney Del Rosario heading the IT Informatics Division. Apparently, sabi niya, conducted an investigation. But up to this time, this is 2010, Mr. Chair, up to this time, wala pa po tayong nakikitang report o investigation report coming from PhilHealth no, tungkol dito because we want to know bakit nangyari yun, sinong dapat kasuhan, sinong involved. And there are stories too, Mr. Chairman, na two of the bank personnel of Metro Bank in Batangas was killed. No? I don't know if it's connected, but quite uncanny and unbelievable that merong ganitong instance na kung saan yung mga personnel ng bangko ay namatay. No? Now,
Congressman Barbers.
yes, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Your last question, please. Okay po ba?
Mr. Chair, hindi kakampisa ko pa lang.
Go ahead.
Nakampisa ko lang. Give me more time. Nakampisa ko lang. So, yun nga, what I'm trying to establish here, Mr. Chair, na itong the same incident that happened in Balanga, Bataan recently, where money was supposed to have been discovered, deposited as well sa isang bangko sa Bataan. Saan ba yun? And was supposed to be the payment of PhilHealth sa Bibron for its services that they rendered. Unfortunately, the money again landed in another private account. So, 2010, nangyari ito, 2020, nangyari ito, and 2019, nangyari ito. So, it seems that there is some sort of a pattern. And lo and behold, Mr. Chair, the person behind the incidents is still Attorney Del Rosario. And he has to do a lot of explaining here, Mr. Chair.
Honorable Vargas. Honorable Barbers, Dr. Pargas will reply. Go ahead.
No, Mr. Chair. Yung representative po ng legal namin nasa Zoom, Attorney Roger Pocalian.
I'm already online.
Attorney Jojo is here. Sorry.
Attorney Del Rosario, kindly reply to the Honorable Barbers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry I was late. I'm having some problems with my health condition. But I did not hear the whole speech of Representative Barbers, but I think it pertains to the Accenture. The Accenture mess was discovered in December 5 of 2011. I was designated in the IT department of PhilHealth on November 4, 2011. So mga isang buwan pa lang po ako, Mr. Chairman. And this particular modus has been ongoing for, I think, the past 2 years. Immediate 2 years of before I was designated as OIC of the ITMT. So I have nothing. I'm not part of the investigation, but I was one of the witnesses that was called by the ad hoc committee created for the purpose. So I'm not part of the legal during that time then po. No? So I was not part of the investigation or fact-finding committee. So I don't have much knowledge about this, your chairman. Mr. Chairman.
I remember, Mr. Chairman, when Attorney Del Rosario was asked in the Senate last Monday, if there was an investigation on this particular issue, and he replied, he said yes, there was an NBI investigation, but I got a word from the NBI in the anti-fraud division that they were never able to access, or they weren't able to access records from Philhealth during the time when they were conducting an investigation, because Attorney Del Rosario invoked the Data Privacy Act. So there was never a investigation or
Mr.
a
Chairman.
report that was made by the NBI. So
Mr. Chairman. Opo.
Attorney Del Rosario, go ahead, Honorable Barbers. Kindly
Okay.
finish your statement.
okay, balikan natin yung Accenture. Paano na-settle yung issue yun? Ano nangyari dun sa pera?
Mr. Chairman, I said that there was an investigation by the NBI, but I did not, no request from my end, kasi hindi naman po ako yung investigador eh. The NBI was coordinating with the legal sector during that time and directly with the corporate legal counsel in the person of Attorney Gabriel and with the president of Philhealth during that time, Dr. Eduardo Banson. So I was not part of that, Mr. Chairman. So I'm not the best person to ask what happened to that particular case. Since I was after several months, I was already transferred to Philhealth Region 1. So I did not know. I came to know the NBI investigation because when we were discussing anti-fraud efforts in Region 1, we had this speaker from the NBI that told us that he was the chair of that group that investigated that particular incident. But I have no personal knowledge. There is no document that has been requested from my end during that time as ITMD manager that I refused to give on grounds of data privacy, Mr. Chairman. So
If we call the person from NBI, Mr. Chair, and testify before the committee, would Attorney Del Rosario cooperate?
yes, Mr. Chairman.
According to the NBI, Philhealth invoked the Data Privacy Act, and that stalled the investigation.
Yes.
That was done by Attorney Minerva Retanal of the
Yes, that's the NBI person that was one of our speakers, Mr. Chair.
Attorney
That's why I
Del
learned
Rosario.
that, there was an NBI investigation.
Attorney Del Rosario,
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
would you know kung sino sa PhilHealth ang nagpahinto dun sa investigation based on the data privacy law?
I would not know. I have no personal knowledge, but the one handling this investigation was Attorney Gabriel of the Corporate Legal Counsel Office of PhilHealth during that time, Mr. Chairman.
Salamat
And
po.
this is of particular interest that our president during that time, Dr. Banson, was personally looking into this problem. Kasi malaki po ito eh. Nag-press conference pa ang PhilHealth about this eh. But I have no personal knowledge of what happened, why the investigation was concluded, or as far as I know, the internal investigation resulted to the dismissal of 2 employees. And there's an ongoing investigation pertinent to that, ongoing case against one of the regional vice presidents. Yun lang po yung alam ko po doon, Mr. Chairman.
Congress, Kung Barbers, si Congress na kami, sisingit lang daw mabilis.
Excuse, Congressman Barbers, kasi kung ang laging i-invoke sa paghingi natin ng dokumento dito sa Kongreso ay data privacy law, wala na tayong dokumento na mahihingi in the course of our investigation. They have to remember that we are doing a constitutional duty. Sub-judicial rule nga, hindi applicable sa atin. Kahit may ka-Supreme Court, tapos hingin natin data. Ang sasabihin, data privacy law. Kaya babaksak na naman yung presumption na evidence ay ayon lang ilabas sapagkat guilty sila. Ang pinoprohibit lamang, public disclosure.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Oh, Attorney Del Rosario, you better review again the data privacy law. Kung
Honorable
Kongreso
Barbers.
ang humihingi ng dokumento, hindi po pwede because of the
Yes, sir.
data privacy law. Wala na kami mangyayaring investigasyon dito.
Thank you,
Wala po
Honorable
kaming-
Barsaga.
wala po kaming
Congress-
nire-release
Attorney
na
Del Rosario, it
I'm
was
sorry.
not referring to you. It was a statement of fact by the Honorable Barsaga. Congressman Barbers.
Thank you, Mr.
Sige.
Chairman.
So maraming katanungan dyan sa usapin ng Accenture, Mr. Chair, that dapat ma-inform tayo, no? Kasi hindi natin alam. Sabi ni Attorney Del Rosario, may na-dismiss na empleyado. Pero question, have they been charged criminally? So hindi natin alam kung ano nangyari doon. Not even what happened to the money? Saan napunta yung pera? Paano na-settle yung pera? Because I was told and I was given the information that it was settled, no? By what virtue, by what power, but by what legal basis did Philhealth use in order to negotiate and settle? Public funds po ito. Kaya marami pong dapat itanong dito na puntahan ko na moving forward. Doon na ho ako sa Balanga, Bataan. Noong May of 2019, the Balanga Rural Bank in Bataan received 12 payments from Philhealth intended for B. Brown Dialysis Center. The total payment that went into the bank was around 9.7 million. Now, B. Brown said na yung rural bank na yun is not their bank. Question, paano ho napunta yung pera ng PhilHealth doon sa account na yun na hindi naman bangko nung supposed to be babayar nila ng serbisyo? So ano mo doon? Ano mo doon na attorney? May idea mo doon?
Mr. Chairman, the person that handled the investigation is Attorney Pocalyan, Roger Pocalyan, and Attorney Robert Labe. No? I apologize, Mr. Chairman. During that time that this particular incident was being investigated, I was already on leave for 4 months. No? So maybe we can address the question, Mr. Chairman, to Congressman, to Attorney Robert Labe. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Attorney Labe? Oo.
Congressman Barbers, the last question, Attorney Labe, kindly reply. I'm sorry, Honorable Barbers.
Mr. Chair, pwede bang mag-interject lang ng kaparaso kay...
Habang hinihintay po si Attorney Labe, Deputy Speaker Fernandez.
Kasi yung tinatanong ni Congressman Barbers about dun sa kaso ng Accenture, na diniscuss ko rin ng nakaraan, na 114 million yung kanilang nawala. Ang alam ko, Mr. Chairman, yung si Mr. Greg Rulyoda, during that time, ng 2012, siya po yung Senior Vice President ng Legal Sector. And at the same time, siya rin po yung, I think, noong 2006, siya yung sa Vice President ng sa Membership and Contribution. Bakit hindi natin tanungin siya? I think siya ang may saka currently, that time...
Okay, Deputy Speaker Fernandez, do we have Attorney Lyoda sa Zoom? Andito po. Sige po, pakisagot nga po yung tanong.
Sino ba siya? Ayan. So, andito pala, Mr. Chairman. So, can we, Congressman Barbers, you can explore your question siguro.
Yung pong sa Accenture, do you have personal knowledge of the issue?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. As far as the Accenture is concerned, there was a committee that was created to investigate that for that purpose. At hindi ko po alam kung nagkaroon ata yung committee together at that time during the presidency of Dr. Banson, if my memory could really is right.
So you were the one leading the investigation? You were the one leading the investigation?
No, sir, I was not part of the investigation. It was the Treasury Department who reported it to management.
Okay.
And then from that, they made an investigation with regards to that. And
Okay, Attorney Labe, we will just request from Treasury the submission of documents as regards Accenture.
yeah,
Huwag
that
niyo na
was-
pong bigay sa amin yung hard copy, basta soft copy na lang ho, and we will be the ones to access it. Thank you so much. Okay, Congressman Barbers?
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Marami kasi yung tanong tayo dapat na pasagot dyan sa kanila, sa Accenture na yan eh. Gaya na sinabi ko kanina, sino yung dapat managot, sino yung na-filean ng kaso, na-dismiss lang daw eh. Wala namang criminal charges that were filed against the employees involved. No? Paano na-settle yung pera? 140 million po yan, Mr. Chairman. Pera
Yes.
ng taong bayan yan. At yung ginawa nila na isinettle, anong legal basis ng settlement? Is PhilHealth allowed to negotiate and settle issues like that with the private hospitals or whoever? But hindi ho yan yung isa pang yung meat of my question, Mr. Chairman. Yung nangyaring yang sa Accenture, nangyari ulit ngayong taon na ito, 2019, sa Balanga, Bataan naman, involving almost 10 million pesos. Yung 10 million pesos na yun, naipasok po yun sa isang bangko na apparently, according to, it was supposed to be payment para sa services rendered by B. Brown. Pero hindi naman ho pumasok yung payment doon sa bangko ng B. Brown. Napasok po ito sa isang rural bank. Ang question, sino yung mga taong involved? Bakit po napunta sa isang private rural bank itong perang ito ng taong bayan? No, number one. Number two, I remember that sinabi ni Attorney Del Rosario that there was an investigation on this particular issue. Pero kanina, sinagot na naman niya, sabi niya kanina na wala namang akong pinigil na investigation. In fact, hanggang ngayon, wala pang resulta yung Accenture. Hindi ko rin alam kung anong masasagot niya naman dun sa Balanga, sa Bataan. So since January of 2019, siya na yung SVP Legal ng Philhealth. Nangyari yung Balanga Bataan May of 2019. So anong nangyayari ngayon dyan? Diba? And clearly, there was a malversation and transfer of public funds with impunity. Kahit saan nila gusto ilagay, ilalagay nila. So yun ang gusto natin malaman.
Thank you so much, Honorable Barbers. Maraming salamat po. Pwede din pong hingin sa atin po sa legal yung documents ng Balanga Bataan. Again, soft copy, we don't need the hard copy for the guidance of this committee. So now we proceed.
Mr. Chair, last na lang before. I will yield, kasi kanina kinain yung oras ko eh. But it's okay. I will yield to the next interpellator provided that I will again be given a chance on the second round. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Honorable Barbers, you will be first in the second round. We now proceed to Deputy Speaker Marcoleta.